Hi, I'm John and welcome back to my Lair of Action Figures. So today's video is going to be concerning the departure of Lenny from Hasbro. I didn't really wanted to make a video. I was keeping it for this week in action figure news. I will still talk about it, but not go into too much details. The fact that I'm doing this video is because I've been reading. It's been a bit more than 24 hours since this news was released, and I've been seeing a lot of misinformation, half-truths out there, and I wanted to bring my point of view and of course certain parts of my knowledge when it comes to when in a company or being an importer for different brands and working directly with the manufacturer does teach you a lot. Of course, I'm a huge collector, as you know, so I wanted to bring you my input. So I've been reading a lot around that Hasbro is gone because of the fact that Lenny is leaving, it's going to be the end, that the boat is sinking, or all this kind of very high drama stuff, and then it can reassure you straight away, do not need to worry. Now, the way that companies work, maybe for the people who don't know, is that when you have somebody like Lenny, who's the leader of the G.I. Joe classified line, and he's the lead designer. So there's, of course, a bit of a continuity that's going to be happening, because when, let's say, Hasbro is going to develop figures, most of the figures that we're going to see for the next 6 to 1 year will have the hand of Lenny on them. Don't get me wrong, the figures are already way down the pipeline. When they're giving you name reveals, they already have the figures, because if you want to check, you take the behind of the Hydro Viper and you can see that there's Deep Six. Deep Six hasn't been shown off, didn't do anything for now with this figure, so that does show you that they already have it in hand. Even if it's a prototype, they are already more farther advanced than what they're letting you to believe. So you're getting information as an end user through the fan streams and other channels. You'll be getting some of the information, and even the one I'm showing is going to be with a certain delay because they're already further down the production line. So no need to worry, Lenny's hand is still going to be very strong, at least for the next year. Like I said, maybe a bit longer on some of the products who are going to come out. So yeah, so do not worry about it. That's not going to much affect it. Now, of course, for me, what set off some red flags were the fact that he is talking about leaving. There's some discussion felt right with the family. There was also some other parts who seemed really weird about the post that he did on his Instagram. So this is where I'm going to be more focusing on. The first paragraph over here is not important. The second one has its importance, but the last one really doesn't make sense. And there's certain parts where I strongly believe that there's some lies who have been told. Again, it's not like I have inside knowledge, but you can read through the lines and you can quickly, easily see where there's certain faults and certain cracks that may show. Anyway, let's continue with some of the pictures. So, of course, I found out LinkedIn profile of Lenny. So, of course, it is very interesting, and something I really want you to hold back. It's the address who's over here, where he is living. So of course he's living in Rhode Island, Pawtucket. I hope I said that one well, right, because it's a bit hard to pronounce, and this is Hasbro's place. Now you know that Hasbro is moving to Boston, and of course one of the main reasons behind him quitting from Hasbro and moving to Boss Fight Studio is the fact of moving to Boston from somebody who has a pretty good normally inside about it. But again, when you're saying majority, it's 51%. If you really want to divide it by 100%, the minimum that he would have for leaving because he doesn't want to move to Boston is 51%. But I have doubts about it, and I will explain you why a bit later on. So, of course, I have been calling out Hasbro and talking about certain issues. So this is a video that I did way back in 2025, the 6th of July to be more precise. And I was talking about the reveal about the Snowcat, his tank, and the fact that they were saying, well, if we're going to do HasLab, it's going to be his tank, it's going to be, of course, the Snowcat. So any vehicle that would enter into that category would mean that it would end up as a HasLab. But for me, that means there's not much chances of getting any kind of vehicle from Hasbro in the regular line, due to the fact that most of them are the same size as the His tank or the same size as the Snowcat. So of course we're not talking about Triple T from Sergeant Slaughter. We're not talking about, what is it, the name of it, the Armadillo, the light motorcycle that they did in 1985 that was falling apart, or the local Wacom vehicle that they did, or the Skyhawk. So those vehicles seem to be on the line, but anything bigger than that is going to be HasLab. So that does make it a bit complicated. And of course, I did see that one right, because they did a live stream on Instagram that sadly didn't have much people. And again, it's a bit sad that they also decided to go with that platform, because it's pretty hard to rewatch, and you can't put pause, you can't go back. Well, anyway, I tried to do it, and it brings you back to the video, and it's about 1 hour long. So if you're in the video, you try to pause, you try to come back, it's not really working well, even if it was not live anymore. So that's a bit of a shame. And that was one of the best streams that Emily and Lenny ever did. There was a lot of explanations. I'm going to be doing a video more about it, because I was going to be calling them out. And of course this happened, so it does put back and have to make me go back to the writing board for the episodes. There was multiple episodes in the same line calling out certain illogic, how they cannot even follow their own rules. But again, that's for another video, and I'm sure you're going to like it, because there's a lot of inconsistency with Hasbro. Now, of course, I did this one on the 27th of March, and of course I put out MI, okay, because missing in action, and that would be Emily and Lenny. So when I'm talking about these two missing in action, we didn't get any information. There was nothing going around. The Special Force guy over here was suddenly available in shops. It was not available on Hasbro Pearls. So there seems to be a lot of issues with communications about how they're coming out, how they're talking about it. And it's not the first time we got some fan streams cancelled, where there was no explanation, just moved on like nothing ever happened. And again, this goes into what he wrote on Instagram, that kind of contradicts what I'm seeing over here. So of course, as you can see, I did some other videos, but these are some of the most relevant concerning this issue over here. And the best part about it, when I did this, I think the day after, Hasbro decided to say, hey guys, we're doing a fan stream on the 1st of April. So joking that they were going to cancel it because it was the 1st of April, but it did happen. And what's really strange, that 15 days later, this guy says, well, hey guys, sorry mate, I'm leaving the ship. Bye-bye, I'm going to Boss Fight Studio. So this already seems a bit weird. Now I can understand that it can feel weirder for the people in Europe, because we have a different way of working with people leaving companies. You have some more time frames to give. You might have 1 month, 2 months, 3 months of notice, depending the role you have, or sometimes even more. I'm not saying that does not exist in the US, but in the US you can leave from one day to another. There's a lot of more flexibility, except if you have a specific contract. But let's say you can move away more easily, and this is something that's also really important to know for the people who may not know how the US personal laws work for employees, how RH works, how human resources in English. So yeah, that does tend to show off a lot. So now I was talking, of course, Boss Fight Studio. This is the company he's going to. And we're going to be reading what he said, because there's certain parts that I would really like you to focus on and see where I'm coming with my critics about How much is it? I'm saying that there's more to the story than meets the eye on his post, and here is the LinkedIn post for Boss Fight Studio. So, of course, you're going to notice that they have 11 employees, and over here, the size of the company, so it's in French, is 2 to 10 employees. So that tells you this is a small company. Now, what I really want you to also pay attention to, it's Norwood, Massachusetts. So, of course, this does tell you that this is also very close to where he lives. It's about 30 minutes drive from what I could figure out on Google Map. But you're going to understand that this is where I have an issue with what the person who's supposed to be very well informed said about his 51% chances of him for leaving the company was because they moved to Boston. But we have this, so this is the new company. This is 30 minutes drive, or a bit more than 30 minutes drive from Rhode Island. Okay, hold that one in thought, and you're going to see why I'm talking about it, because I have did a quick print screen. Sorry for the quality of it, but if you want, this is where Lenny would live right now, and this is where Hasbro used to have their main office and where they were building most of the G.I. Joes, and this is where it was. So, not only, but now this red little mark over here that I did, this is where Boss Fight Studio has their offices. So, as you can see, there's a bit of a drive, like I said, good half hour, but if you look, Boston is straight up here. So that's another 30 minutes. I read somebody said that you could get to Boston in 40 minutes. Afterwards, there's irrespective speeding limits and other stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not going to contradict. If the guy knows, he knows. But let's say after Google Map, it takes you about an hour to transit from Boston to where he lives. So again, that's not the end of the world driving, doing 1 hour of road. I mean, even people in Switzerland who are not used to traveling so long distances, because if you live in North America, driving around is something that you're used to, especially if me living in Quebec, I can tell you, or even for Canada, the people drive like huge distances, and for us, which should seem mind-blowing that you would do this kind of kilometers per day or miles per day to go there to spend 1 hour and drive all the way back would not make sense. You would say, oh, I'm going to pass the weekend over there, because if I'm driving so much, well, this is the case over here. And for me, 1 hour is not the end of the world going there and going back. It's 2 hours, and I'm sure that he could have worked from home from some days. So again, there's more to this story. So now I wanted to come back to the post, and I wanted to read it, and something that really kind of sticks out for me when I read this, it feels like there's a lawyer who was involved in it, or somebody who was saying, listen, you have to phrase it in this way because for some legal ramification. So of course, where the dominator is, of course, Lenny. So if you want to follow him on Instagram, you can, because why not? After 20 incredible years, I'm stepping away from Hasbro and onto a new adventure with Boss Fight Studio, a decision that felt right for me and my family. Okay, personal issues, having, like he said, the move, and your family wants to be there closer by, doesn't want you to have this 2 hours of day driving there and back. Yeah, can make sense. It's hard to put into words what this chapter has meant to me, from early days on Spider-Man to time on Transformers, and ultimately helping bring G.I. Joe Classified to life. The design works was always special to me, but the people made it unforgettable. I've had the privilege of working alongside some truly talented, passionate creators. Okay. Yeah, roughly I'm having the impression I'm reading some kind of certificate or some kind of letter that you got as a reference, saying, oh, you're a good employee, and it just feels basic. I don't feel any kind of much more about it, and really doesn't sound anything that comes from the heart. To everybody who's been with G.I. Joe Classified, you made this something bigger. Your passion, your deep knowledge, your feedback, the calls out, etc. If you want, it all mattered more than you probably realize. It pushed us to dig deeper and make the line better. Now, this seems like a motivation speak to your team. Does not seem like anything. So with our feedback or the stuff that we did, calling out certain products, certain things that you were doing, and you course correcting, means that you were listening to the fans, but you didn't really show it when you did the fan streams. Like I said, you had fan streams who were cancelled, and YouTube moved over like nothing happened. It was not like, hey guys, sorry, we had to cancel because X, Y, Z, and we're really sorry, and to make it up, we're going to add an extra name drop or an extra digital render or any kind of stuff, just to say, hey guys, we appreciate that you are following us, give us a little extra. That would have made sense, but again, never happened. So again, you having appreciation, you may have, but I didn't feel it in the videos. Let me know in the comment section. Did you feel it, or is it me who's been too dark on the side of listening to them, or I missed the apology, or I fell asleep or blinked and didn't see it? Let me know in the comment section. So continuing, and this is where I have my biggest issue with it. I'm going to miss being a part of this community. So you're going to miss being a part of this community. Are you talking about the G.I. Joe Classified series? Because you still have contacts, except if you're not allowed to take contacts anymore or talk with your former colleagues. That would seem very weird for somebody who left the company of his own free will. I'm not saying that he got kicked out. I'm not implying that, but it does feel weird. You can be still part of the community. If you like G.I. Joe, you're a fan of G.I. Joe, doesn't matter if you are working for Hasbro or not, you're allowed to talk about G.I. Joe and you can interact. I mean, Bobby Valla still interacts, still talks with people on the basics of the G.I. Joe and talks about it. So why you cannot be part of the community? This does not make any kind of sense. And you can still hang out with your former employees who you worked with, due to the fact that they're about a 1 hour drive. And I'm sure that there's a lot of those people who live not far. And if you're going to work for Boss Fight Studio, then you just have half an hour to drive. And that's not the end of the world to go and have a drink with your former colleagues. So again, something is off about it, and this is why I'm saying this is phrased by some kind of lawyer who is putting down the basics lines and to say, well, not to get into any cross problems or trying to blow things out of proportion. Also, again, he might have had to sign an NDA, but again, that could be one of the reasons behind it. But I'm pumped for what's ahead with Boss Fight Studio. Exclamation mark. The chance to build new worlds, push ideas, and create in ways I haven't before. There's a lot I've been waiting to explore, and I can't wait to bring it to life. Now, I would agree that if you were a basic creator at Hasbro, that you were held back because not always your ideas were picked up, or this kind of thing could really push you into saying, well, they don't appreciate me, I'm going to leave the company. But you were the lead designer. You pushed a lot of stuff. You pushed the Dreadnoks, you pushed the guy that I'm going to be showing afterwards, that you can just see he's teased over here. You did those products. I was reading about you doing some kind of degree in archaeology, and that you're a huge fan of dinosaurs. So can explain why we got the dinosaur over here. This can explain why all the animals are so well done on the behalf of Hasbro. Because let's take the bear timber. What else? There's the creatures that you made. You made the Fiona, the alligator was really well done, and all those creatures, even the scorpion was pretty impressive, the one who comes from the desert. Right? But I mean, you have the liberty to create stuff. And G.I. Joe went down some really crazy pathways. I understand that you could say, well, the dinosaurs, this is called back to the Toys R Us set that came back out, was it 88 or 87? Can't remember. Didn't purchase it because, well, no Toys R Us in Europe. But that one came with Ambush in Lowlight version 2. And of course, the Desert Fox repainted, and there was a plastic dinosaur in it. So, again, you have the possibility to create. And if you're giving the dinosaur to Cobra, who seems highly inspired by Jurassic Park with those little raptors creatures there, can't remember the name of it. But if you are doing it, that means you have a certain possibility. You're going into the Ninja Force. I'm sure that was not maybe one of the top priorities. People were asking for the original 13. Where are those guys now? So they're coming out slowly, but there is, like I said, so much inconsistency in the way you're doing it that I think you have more leadway than you're trying to pretend that you don't have. So you could have explored, you could have pushed ideas out there, because if you put a dinosaur or dinosaurs with Cobra, I mean, it is your idea. I don't think it should fell out from somebody else there. And he said, oh yeah, that's cool, let's put dinosaurs in our G.I. Joe franchise. You had a lot of creativity behind it, and the same thing goes for the new sets that are Walmart exclusive, with the system, who's this kind of gas that creates illusions, with the Ghost Viper, with of course Crystal Ball, who was redone also. So you see, you had the possibility to do a lot of creating. So I don't understand why suddenly working for another company is going to give you more freedom to go. I mean, Boss Fight has licenses that they have. Let's say the Court of the Dead. You're not going to be able to totally modify something who's under license, because the fact that you have it under license, Sideshow will have to give you the approval if they agree or not with your design. So you're going to be still limited. You're going to do wrestling, you're going to do maybe some other Conans with Sonja. So certain constrictions due to the licensing that you will have to apply. So you can't go batshit crazy and do whatever you want. So again, this is something that questions you leaving. And the fact that you're leaving, and from what we heard from Hasbro, from the little we heard from Hasbro, well, there doesn't seem to be anybody to take over your place. So, I mean, if you really were there, wanted to be there for the fans, wouldn't you want to have a smooth transition? Would it not be in the advantage of Hasbro not wanting to put any waves on two products, because some people may call it out and think that you got fired and it was nothing to do with it, and should say, hey, you know, I'm moving on, I'm going to work for another company. Here's the guy who's going to be taking over in the same way you were announced to go into the G.I. Joe Classified. I think it was in 20 or 21 that you got taken off the Transformers to be put on the G.I. Joe line as, like I said, lead designer. So again, this is why I find it really, really weird, and this is why I'm saying that there's more to the story. So anyway, I'm just going to quickly finish what he said. Excited for what's ahead and the opportunities to build something new with Boss Fight. Okay, like I said, you could have done it with Hasbro. Part of what we created together. On to the next chapter. YoJoe, well, hashtag YoJoe, hashtag G.I. Joe Classified. Well, hey, good luck, man. I hope you do and be able to see certain of your ideas being evolved with Boss Fight Studio. But again, if they are like Hasbro, or like I had with Hot Toys when I wanted to make myself a figure from them, there was a 2 or 3 year wait list due to the fact that they had a lot of other projects going forward. And again, when something pops up like this, they have already been working on it. It's not a surprise. So if Boss Fight Studio has the same policies or works in the same way as Hasbro, we won't see any of Lenny's creations in a straight immediate coming out in the next month, except if they decide to push back. But still, there's design, but it takes time to do. It's not something that's done overnight. So again, this is why I'm saying that, yeah, really fishy about it. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you think I'm overseeing? Did I have put on my tin hat foil and I'm just going batshit crazy and making more to the story, or is there something really behind what I'm talking about and pointing out the inaccuracies in his description and what's going on from what we can see with our own eyes? So let me know in the comment section and let's start a conversation around our favorite hobbies. So this is going to be it for my video about my thoughts about Lenny leaving Hasbro. If you like this kind of videos, please leave a like, share, comment in the section. If you have any suggestions, let me know also in the comment section. If you want to go and check out more news, what I have for sale and other, just head to the description of this video. You have a link to my Facebook page and of course Instagram page. I post some pictures, but it's mostly on, of course, on Facebook. And until then, I wish you have a fantastic day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!